Hi guys, welcome back to your English class. Today we will be continuing with the story of Peter Rabbit. The topic for today is sensory details. So before we go forward, let me ask you, what are sensory details? Can anybody tell me this? So let me tell you what are sensory details. Sensory details, include sight, sound, touch, smell, and taste. In simple words, we can say that it is our five senses. When you use your five senses to experience anything, that means you are using your sense organs or sensory details. So writers, they employ the five senses to engage a reader's interest. Whenever they write a story, they try to include all the five senses so that when you read the story, it will be very interesting. So even in Peter Rabbit, we will see so many sensory details. But before we go to Peter Rabbit, let me give you some examples of sensory details. So the first one is sound, We listen with our ears. So over here, the concert was so loud that her ears rang for days afterwards. See? Very simple, but at the same time it captures us, right? It captures the audience, Another example, sight, we see with our eyes. So the sunset was the most gorgeous they had ever seen. The clouds were edged with pink and gold. Instead of saying that the sunset was so beautiful or so gorgeous, they have given you colors over here. They have given us colors, so when we close our eyes, we can imagine the sunset being, or the sky being, pink and gold. Whenever you want to experience these details, it is always better to close your eyes and imagine these details. Now for smell, after eating the curry, his breath reeked of garlic. So you can close your eyes and you can imagine one of your friend has just had some garlic curry, or a curry which was full of garlic. And imagine now if he comes and he talks to you, how would his breath smell, right? So his breath reeked of garlic means his breath was really stinky. It did not have a good smell. Touch. The tree bark was rough against her skin. If you have ever gone and rubbed your hand, or any part of your body on a tree, you will find that the tree bark, is very rough, isn't it? Taste. The faint taste of salt on the breeze. Now, if you have ever stood at a seashore, you will notice that you can taste the salt, right? Have you ever gone to a beach? I'm sure most of you have, right? And if you stand there, you will see that even the air is kind of salty. You can even taste the salt, So I want you to close your eyes and I want you to imagine these things, Now, coming back to Peter Rabbit, coming back to the lesson, let's see if we can find some details, some sensory details from the lesson. I hope you have read the lesson very well, So, let's see what Peter Rabbit sees. Our first one is the sense of sight. We see with our eyes. So, what did Peter Rabbit see? So we know that Peter Rabbit saw Mr. McGregor's vegetable garden, He saw an old mouse carrying peas and beans for its family. We also know that he saw Mr. McGregor digging for onions. I've just given you a few. There are many more in the textbook, So you need to write what Peter Rabbit saw. The second one is, what did Peter Rabbit hear. So you need to write what did he hear. So we know that he heard the sound of Mr. McGregor's shoes, right? When Mr. McGregor was looking for him, he heard the sound of his shoes. What did he taste? We know that Peter Rabbit always went into Mr. McGregor's garden and stole vegetables, right? So he tasted the lettuce, the beans, the radish. Okay, there are so many things which he tasted. You can write a few. How did he feel? Now, since he was very greedy and he ate too many vegetables at the same time, he felt sick after eating them, okay? And when he was trapped in the pot, okay, and when Mr. McGregor was looking for him, we can say that he also felt scared, right? When you do something like that, even you will feel scared. So you can see how the author or how the writer has used all these sensory details in the lesson. Okay, we do not have any sensory detail of smell in Peter Rabbit, but we have the other sensory details which you can use, or you can also find other ones in your textbook. Now, why would the author or the writer use sensory details? What is the use of these details? Okay, so remember, okay, the writer, he uses these details, okay, to engage a reader's interest. Now in Peter Rabbit, if there was no sensory details, it would be a very, very boring story. Okay, so the writer uses details to engage a writer's interest. Okay, when sensory details are given, a reader can personally experience what the author is trying to describe. Okay, when I tell you to close your eyes and to experience what Peter Rabbit has experienced, you will find that it is much more easier for you to imagine these things, and you feel like the experience is also yours, right? It also gives us a universal feel. We feel very connected with the lesson. Okay, it helps us to imagine what is it like for the character to undergo all these details. So when Peter Rabbit was hiding, I am sure even you felt scared for him, right? When Peter Rabbit was eating the vegetables, maybe some of you did not like it because maybe you do not like those vegetables, right? When Peter Rabbit experienced things, even you may feel good about it, or you may not feel good about it. So you can also imagine and you can connect to what the character is experiencing. Okay, and the last one is that it makes the story very interesting. Okay, for example, if I'm describing an ice cream, if I just say ice cream, right, it doesn't sound so good. But what if I say butterscotch or chocolate, or I ate an ice cream, okay, or I ate a butterscotch ice cream that was full of nuts, it was very cold. So you can imagine more, right? So when we use sensory details, remember that it makes the writing more interesting. Okay, so that is all for today. For your homework, you need to do S2, which is on page number 16 of volume 2. Okay, so in question number 1, you have been given 5 circumstances where you need to tell me whether it is seen, okay, whether it is heard, smelt, tasted, or felt. So I want you to read the description and tell me which sense organ is used, or which sensory detail is used. Okay, and then for question number 2, you need to write what did Peter see, what did he smell, what did he feel, what did he hear, and what did he taste. You can use the ones which are given in the slide over here, or you can use any details from the textbook. Okay, so in case you have any doubts, feel free to clarify. That's all for today. We will continue in our next class. Have a nice day, happy learning, and bye bye.